Okay, so we've got a couple of people going around with a microphone, but if you're loud like me, then feel free to shout out. Who wants to start us off? Thanks very much, everybody. See you later. Go on to you.
It's been a year and a half since I visited the training facility with Tony, and what I wanted to know is, I know that Jack was keen on getting a lot of changes done. I think perhaps the analysis type room, I'm not sure, but what I wanted to really ask tonight was what's actually been done at the training ground, what changes have been made, and secondly, Jack, are you finding now that that's actually having an impact on the planning and the preparation of the team itself?
Yeah.
Just before answering the question, just like to say, I know that David will probably thank James and I at one point for turning up tonight, but I want to express our gratitude for those that have attended, because I'm always grateful for any time where supporters come out and show you their backing for what we're trying to do and for the club. And hopefully from tonight we'll give you an insight into some of the work we're doing. So going back to the question, I think I've said publicly quite a lot within interviews that when I took the job, the training ground hadn't changed a great deal from my time as a player, for one reason or another, and there was some structural issues that we had to deal with, and in that respect, unfortunately, I have a chairman that has that background, so he's been very supportive in that regard. So some were necessary changes we had to make the place safe enough for the players to be in, and thereafter it was about me making demands of the chairman all the time, what we would like to do. So very quickly, some of the changes we have made: we moved the kit room. We built a kind of purpose-built kit room now, rather than the office it was housed in previously. To do that, we have to have coaches' changing room. So we've got a smaller coaches' changing room, but still one that's sufficient for us. Canteen, gym, first team changing room were all refloored, repainted, freshened up. Shifted the analysis room from the canteen, where we showed analysis when we took the job, to the coach's office, if you like. I had my own office, but there's a coach's office. It's quite a big area for those that haven't been in Ralston. So a lot of the coaches are still based in there. We now have it set up as the style is in here tonight, and it allows us to have a specific area. And part of the thinking behind that is that when we did analysis prior to that, it was in the area where the players ate breakfast and ate lunch. So even from their own psychology aspect, it probably didn't feel as if they were really looking at footage that was important. So now they come in a specific room for it. Has it helped us? Yeah, hugely. Even now, if you come into the training ground with a lot of new signage up, people have their own opinions on motivational words and phrases. I like them. I don't ram them down players' throats. They're all around the training ground. There's some pictures up as well. If a player likes one of them and he buys into it, great. It helps us, and it has helped us. It's helped with professionalism. And the biggest thing, I'm sure James would agree, is it cuts down on any excuses from players, which is what we've tried to do. So we provide them with the best possible environment to improve as individuals, to work hard that we demand of them. We have to provide them as much as possible. I know David touched on some of the things that SMiSA supported us with, and that goes right the way through the club down to the academy. When I took the job here, I think we had 6 mannequins. Now I know somebody might think, well, does that really matter? With 6 mannequins between the whole club, we now have 24, 26 or something. Now these things, the way we coach, matter. So all those little things I think do help, and hopefully that's been reflected in results and performances as well.
One over here, I think, on the microphone. I was just going to say that the website's not very good for what's happening anyways.
I think what I would say is that.
Is that one of your mannequins?
You must have seen him play a lot. I think what I would say on that communication side of it, I know James is here tonight, and James does a terrific job, and A, dealing with the workload, B, dealing with me at times as well, because as a manager, as much as I try and be quite open with my communication, there are times where I'll choose not to probably divulge all the information, which I'm sure you'll understand at times as well. In terms of the injuries, the ones that have been out longer term, I'm happy to kind of give you an update on them. Harry Davis will all be well returned to full training at the end of this month, stroke beginning in October, which is great. Kyle McGuinness is, originally we were looking at a 9 to 12 week period for him to be out. We're at 10.5 weeks at the moment. Because he had progressed so quickly, we thought he would be back prior to that. He had a wee setback about a week and a half ago, but we're hopeful that we're getting to the bottom of that now. If that's the case, then he again should be back in full training, hopefully within the next 7 to 10 days. Out with that, everybody else is available with the exception of Gary McKenzie, who came back from his concussion issue, then suffered an Achilles injury in a bounce game at Murray Park. But he had a scan today and he should be back full training within the next week as well. So everybody else is back fit and available. We've had a difficult time with injuries, to be honest, since pre-season period. So hopefully, if we can continue as where we are at the moment and get everybody back fully fit, then we'll be in a good position.
So you're not having to make your shorts back on like Jack?
No, I leave that to James, to be honest. I don't even train much now. I limit myself to what I do in training. So James thinks he can still play, but he's good off the ball, is his strength.
Just with the injuries that you've actually had, Jack and James, sometimes you've actually had to change the formation. You've actually gone on record to say that even some of the formations that you've tried out were by, not by your choice, but all by accident. What's your view now that you've actually tried that, and how do you see that applying for the rest of the season?
I think that you're right in what you say in terms of my whole time, not just here, but as a manager, I'd always played the back four, and I just preferred it. But a few weeks ago, because of injuries, we only had one fit available centre half, and we only found that out late on the Thursday evening. So it meant on the Friday, when we'd normally done a lot of preparation prior to then, we had to quickly adjust and look at a new way of playing. And Livingston game was a difficult one to judge it on because of the circumstances of the match, but thereafter against Dundee United it worked well. Last week, yeah, maybe not so much in terms of the overall flow of the game, but what it's helped us do is know we've got that versatility, and we've got a group that, even last Saturday we went to a back four in the early part of the second half, and we were able to do it quite easily because of the personnel we've got. So that's a bonus for us, because perhaps I hadn't thought we would be able to do that. So we've now got personnel that thinks it will help us do that, and for us as managers and coaches, it's been good because there's a new challenge for us in terms of some of the things we do in training and how we prepare and how we set up. So yeah, I think it will benefit us as the season moves on. I think also it makes it more difficult for teams to prepare to play against you because they're maybe unsure as to what you're going to play. And the way the game is now, and the amount of analysis is done and preparation is done by opponents, then you probably need to have that air of unpredictability about you at times as well.
Sorry, Jack, as well. Last season, Brendan Rodgers, when he was way to praise you, performance of Fowler and Swan at City Park. Rodgers himself is a big believer in a more professional approach to sports psychology, instead of the Scottish old school attitude of if you win you're brilliant, if you lose you're terrible, that sort of idea. So I'm wondering if you yourself buy into the importance of using more modern ways of dealing with players and the benefits of sports psychology more generally.
It's a good question, and it's something that I probably developed an interest in it in my spell probably outside of football. When I was working at PFA, I became more interested in mental health and sport, initially in an actual mental first aid aspect of it, if you like, and then probably beyond that into the psychology behind sportsmen and different sports. You mentioned Brendan Rodgers. I was lucky enough to go up to Lennoxtown towards the end of the season when our season had finished and the Celtic season was still going on, and spent a day there, and probably spoke to him more about behaviours and psychology and man management than I did actually coaching. And for me it was insightful, but also reassuring as to some of the ways we work. So we place a lot of importance on it in terms of how we try and conduct ourselves, how James and I deal with the players, and we're also fortunate that within the club we have a non-exec director called Gavin White, whose background is in kind of behavioural management in a corporate environment. So he works with a lot of players on a one-to-one basis. And what I like about him is I've had various experiences, different experiences of guys that work in that field, but he's very real, he's pretty straightforward, he's quite down to earth, and the players that have done work with him one-to-one, I'm sure some of them wouldn't mind me saying, Lewis Morgan's an example, Steve McGinn's done some work with him, Jack Baird, we've just got to work with him, Ross Stewart, the goalkeeper, is keen to work with him and started doing some work, because all these players have different challenges mentally in terms of how they deal with the pressures of the game, and it's quite often difficult for us to see initially until you get to know players better. But I think football's been slow in catching up in other sports and how seriously they treat that area. But no, we place a lot of importance on it without ramming it down players' throats. Again, it goes back to the motivational stuff that's around the training ground. You have players will find their own way what works for them.
To say that level, that's quite rare. That's what happens across the club like that.
Difficult for me to say because I don't know what goes on at other clubs. I know other clubs have had people who came in. I think what works really well for us is because Gavin's involvement with the club, he's a close friendship with Tony as well, so he's there on tap almost for us, and it's very informal. So it's a really good benefit to have inherited, if you like. And he's very passionate about the club as well, so he has a real desire to see us progress. So when you ask him to do some work with the players, and he does work with James and I as well, because we both have our own areas that we're interested in, how can we improve. And I know James will laugh at this, but I've got now written above one of my whiteboards, is it success critical? Because I have a bad habit of getting my knickers in a twist about every single thing that's going on at Ralston, and he reminds me a lot that is it really that important for me to worry about. So that it's sound advice, and it helps me, not just the players, and helps James as well. Occasionally, occasionally, always a lot.
I was talking a lot at the other match the other day, and a lot of it was the F word.
No, I don't use that at all.
And it wasn't funny.
So just to follow up on that question there, you did mention the players getting, being benefit from that. Are these players coming to you and asking for assistance, or is it club identifying that you need a bit of prompting or help?
I think about both, to be honest. Sometimes it's maybe us nudging Gav in your direction, or players into Gav's direction as well. Stephen McGinn's one week probably said, coming back, being captain, so being here before, the expectation that it's probably on his shoulders as well, and how he goes about his business, how he can be a better captain as well at times, how he can lead the team hopefully back to the Premier League as well. So, how he deals with that, with Gav's support, obviously the manager support, and there's other ones maybe that are at the other end of their careers, younger ones coming through, and with some exciting youngsters as well, just dealing with that, kind of the weight on their shoulders as well. The manager mentioned Lewis Morgan, somebody who's been excellent probably since we came in, especially since January time, and now there's kind of a massive expectation of him every game as well, with producing what he's produced so far, and it's just making sure that we as a staff and as a club support him and his needs as well.
It's going to be good for the players to know that's there, should they need it.
Yeah, it is. It's massive.
I think the mindset in Scottish football in the past has been, we deal with issues at the door.
Yeah. And it's probably something that I've not really experienced when I was a player either, and a manager when I was at Community South, and it's good to just have someone out with the football side to speak to as well. Obviously, Gavin's a Sunderland fan, he's here, he's really approachable. It's been good for us, and we do laugh about the success critical thing, and the manager does get himself involved in a lot of stuff, and just for me, to remind him as well that he can maybe delegate a little bit, and does it really matter what's going on, and is it going to influence a Saturday, and at the end of the day that's the most important thing for us at the minute.
Sorry, we just grab the mic over. I think some people will be able to give it a hard time here in some of the questions.
I'm just wondering, the Lewis Morgan situation, if nothing happened in the transfer window in January, and he walks away at the end of the season, but nothing, then we can do it to prevent that. Because it's not like...
Yeah, he's obviously in the last year of his contract, and the club will retain its entitlement to training compensation. albeit he's only been in our academy system from an older age because he was at Rangers prior to that. It's quite a complicated system now as well, and it can be difficult to estimate or predict for a club because it is dependent upon the club that signs him as well, and depends on what category they're classed as, particularly in England. So the clubs in England are classed, I don't know what it goes down to, but category 1 and 2 and beyond that. And that, believe it or not, impacts upon the level of compensation they have to pay. So, yeah, I mean, what I would suggest is if he continues in his form that he's in at the moment, there will be higher end clubs that I would imagine that are interested in signing him. We have been proactive for a while now in trying to obviously keep him at the club for longer. I can understand, Lewis and I are very close and you know, I'm very fond of him, and I can understand it from his perspective as well. What I would say is that I have absolutely no doubt that he'll be here the remainder of the season. He has no desire to leave prior to that, certainly at the moment, and I believe him. I think he wants to remain here for the season and hopefully help us achieve what we want to achieve. I think he also would like to see the club compensated properly for what they've done for him. Is there a potential solution to that? There's probably different ones. You know, probably a bit like Kyle McAllister. When Kyle was sold, ideally I would have liked Kyle to come back on loan when he was bought in the January. I'm not saying that will happen, but these are potential solutions as well, and it depends on when somebody wants to try and secure Lewis's services, if you like, if that makes sense, because a lot of clubs could wait until the end of the season to when his contract runs down. If I was a club and I had the means, I personally think he's as good as anything at that age at the moment in Scotland. Would I be keen to get to the front of that queue in January? Yes, I would. Would I be keen to try and find a way of making that work? Yes. So we'll see how it plays out, but the important thing for me as a manager at the moment, and for James as well, is we know we have a player that's completely committed to the club and is in no. It's a bit like Stevie last year. Stevie was terrific over the second half of last season because he accepted where he was and he knew that he would move in the summer, but he wanted to make sure he was leaving in the best possible way.
Do you now feel like you've got a good blend of youth experience in the team? I know before you came, there's a lot of youth in the team, and I know it's a couple of games last season that you all kind of burnt out at the one time. Do you now feel we've got a good kind of basis to go for them?
I think what we had when James and I took the job, and we said this at the time, was we had a strange balance of age in the squad. There was a lot of young players and quite a lot of older players, but very few in the middle. And you need that. You need players who are still hungry, but still have their best years ahead of them. I think now there is a greater balance within the squad. Without doing the calculations, I would guess that the average age of the squad is much younger than it was. I think it'll be around about mid-20s now. That's not only with the young ones that came through, but when you add guys like Ian McShane's age and Harry Davis's age, those guys that are around their mid-20s, and you forget probably that we've got regular first-team players like Gavin Riley, who's still early to mid-20s, Lewis Morgan, Cammy Smith, who gets forgotten about sometimes, who's still a very young man. So yeah, we feel as if we've got a better balance, but we also feel as if we've got that pace and energy that we wanted from the way we play, and that's a key aspect of the modern game, and we've got it in abundance at the moment, and it's using it in the right way, and if you use it in the right way, then it obviously has effective results.
We'll hear first.
Just on Harry Davis, was it always the intention to have 4 centre halves, or was it that he was available?
Yeah, no, the intention was to ideally have 4. We building your squad is. When we managed to achieve the result at Easter Road, it was great for us because it gave us more time throughout the playoffs, because that was always a possibility getting that last game, and allowed us more time. So we had done a lot of planning prior to that. We obviously, you see the number of signings we made early, we wanted to try and put our squad in place. So we had a kind of template for it, what we wanted. Yeah, that obviously then becomes a bit to and fro in the board, they make demands of them, and they've been good and supportive in that way, but the demands will always come from us that way to try and help us. And yes, did we always want 4? Yeah, we didn't have that, and we had probably almost exhausted what we had available. But when Harry's possibility of still coming in was there, the board was supportive in getting him in because they recognised that. I think I've been honest about this, in different circumstances I don't think we would have got him, because he's a good player, and he would have been playing, I think, at a better level in the Scottish Championship. However, those circumstances, it meant that and he wanted to come here as well. But yeah, we wanted 4 centre halves, and as you've seen, probably as I mentioned, the way things have went for us this year, we've only got 2 at the moment, which shows you that the board's probably having that depth in the squad.
Is there any reason why we start James Fowler?
That's that delegation you were talking about.
Warm up. I'm obviously I'm in charge of the warm up, so I would take the blame for that. And it's something that we will have looked at. We've changed different bits and pieces. I think it's just getting players engaged, early engaged as well, and that can be difficult because it's an individual thing as well. I think back to when I played, I always focused on myself and made sure I was ready, and then making sure that players around about you as well. I think times have changed a little bit, that they're just going to look after themselves these days and a bit quieter, and maybe don't see people having a, should we say, a nibble at teammates as well, and making sure that they're at it. If we knew why that was, it obviously would happen once and then it wouldn't happen again. So I'd say it's something we're looking to improve on. We have made changes with little effect, but I think over the piece, if we start slow, still gives us time to come back and win games, which we've done. I would rather we could have done that, and obviously we look tired at the end of the games, and obviously losing like goals, which never gives you a chance to get back into games.
Supporters welcome to come down to Ralston to watch the training.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, have we had people come to Ralston? Yeah, and I'm fairly intense about what I do in terms of my work, but hopefully the people that have had any interaction with me know that I'm quite relaxed about engaging with supporters, and also I'm quite open about what we do. I know we said this way back in some of the dark days that James and I had, that we didn't have anything to hide in that regard because we had faith in what we were doing. So yeah, I mean, we have probably some regular visitors to Ralston. We've had people that would pop up, perhaps school holidays, would bring their kids up. It's not a problem. Sorry, scratch that. No, you're not welcome. No, I mean, yeah, I'm fairly relaxed about it. We enjoy it, because it gives us generally, if sometimes I've got other commitments after training and things to deal with, but I know that there's been occasions where I'll see James or Jamie Langfield, for example, spend time and speak to the supporters that are there. So yeah, I mean, it should be that way. There are times when the work we have to do, for obvious reasons, is better done without other eyes watching it. But by and large, it's nice for supporters to have the opportunity to see players working. They probably work harder than some people would imagine at times as well.
See at half time, we know first best 15 minutes, but at half time we get on subs in the dressing room with you first of all, and then we go back in again. Does that have a big effect on the subs? Because I've never seen it happen to any other managers in here.
Well, the reason we do it is quite simple, is that obviously the subs are there, they warm up through the first half. By and large, they're not used in the first half. So in order for them to be aware of any issues we feel as if there's been in the first half, anything we need to do better, any problems we're having in the game, that's why they come in. So usually when you see them coming out is when the nuts and bolts of what I'm saying to them as a group is done, so then they'll come back out and do the warm up at half time. And I think it's quite important, because it means then that as the game's progressing, they're aware of any problems that have come up in the first half and anything we're doing well, and hopefully it then assists them when they get the opportunity to go in the park in the second half.
Now that the season started, and it started reasonably well, and obviously you've got the squad in place and whatnot, is
is there any areas now that you think might, now that you've seen them play a number of games, that you think could do with another bit of strengthening there? Is there, I mean, you talk, which is great, midfield to forward, spot on, but sometimes you've said midfield going back isn't so strong, and we know the reasons for that. But given the players that still come back, is there any areas that you still think could do with another body there for cover?
We spoke about that earlier about squad size as well, and we need 4 centre halves, and obviously we're playing with 2 at the minute, so yeah, we're a bit short in the centre half area. Midfield obviously as well, losing Kyle McGuinness for a number of weeks as well, so it's hard. We'd have a squad of 35 as well, and you're like, right, and then we've got 2 or 3 players for each position, but in terms of squad balance and then squad harmony as well, you need that kind of competition in places, so it's difficult to get that balance right. Obviously we've got a close relationship with Elliot Manis as well, and Andy Webster now as part of working with the 20, so we'll try to obviously keep an eye on them as well and help develop. We've seen that there's been a few younger ones as well, but in terms of that midfield and defensive area, they're maybe not quite ready for the first team yet, so let's try to progress them and at the same time keep a balance in the first team squad where we can have that competition in places, but at the same time we're not having 4, 5, 6 people sitting in the stands whenever he's fit, because then that just doesn't do them or the rest of the lads any good either.
Yeah.
Just want to be asking the president of the 20s, Jack, a couple of clubs, especially Darren White, in my opinion, is a fantastic player. I think a lot of fans that don't go to the 20 games get a wee bit distorted view of him. He's been playing him at full-back when he's in the first team. And I've not seen him play in 3 years, and he's been playing centre-back or centre midfield. And I think, I'm trying to ask what you think going further on with that player, how do you feel his best position is? And the summertime, what did you do to Conor McGear? Did you pack him in a go bag? Because he's a young boy, he has some side of unit, some player by the way as well.
The question regarding Darren is a good one, because he's when I again go back to when we first took the job, we probably had to assess quite quickly if there was any younger ones that we felt as if could help us, and 2 Kyles fell into that bracket, and Darren was the other one, and he broke his metatarsal not long into that period, so he obviously played at the ends in the first team, and as the season progressed he was always one that we wanted to keep. He's probably suffered a little bit from both him and us not being 100% sure on what his best position is. We certainly, towards the end of last season, thought fullback suited him. Probably got quite a lot to learn in terms of that area. Centre half probably needs to be a little bit more aggressive and dominant aerially, because it is still part of the game of playing there. So I know it's something he's been working hard on. Ideally, he would go out on loan because he needs to play an experienced first team football. The challenging aspect of that is when you're going without any first team background, it can be hard to get people to take you, and also he falls into the bracket of being he's a non-development player now, so he has to go on a standard loan. The loan system in Scotland is pretty complicated and farcical in aspects of it, and so we restrict the movement of players because of their age, which in my opinion is nonsense. So for a club to even take that, they can take as unlimited or certainly a high number of development loans, but only a limited number of standard loans. So he kind of suffers a bit because of that. Is he at a level where he can push to play in the first team regularly? No, I think he's still got a wee bit to go in that regard. In terms of Conor, yeah, he's a big lad, but these players are, they surprise you at times with their physical development as well. I know that I've no doubt that there's members of Kyle's family here tonight, because there always is. I've seen Josh earlier. He's there. I know if you've not seen, some of you wouldn't have seen Kyle recently because of the spell he's had out of the team. But you'll get surprised at how big he's went as well. I spoke to Kyle when he first suffered the injury about how he'd deal with it. So there was 2 things for him: the mental challenge, he'd been out injured for the first time for a decent period of time, and what he would do in that period. So for me, it was an opportunity for him to strengthen, because he's still a young man, and now he he's got a fair, proper square shouldered. You know, you will get a surprise when you see him, which is a credit to him that he's used that time to build himself that way as well, to be, because you need that for the rigours of that area of the park he plays in. So yeah, the corner I think is just naturally like that. But yeah, I think that within the age group now, we still believe that there's enough a conveyor belt, if you like, of players that can come through and have the opportunity to play in the first team. But probably just they're going to be, I was talking about squad size earlier on, they're probably going to be a little bit restricted because our squad is so strong, I think, at the moment in terms of depth of it, which might restrict them a little bit. But if they do well enough, then that opportunity will come for them as well.
Right, okay. So there's two parts to my question. When it comes to social media, the last, well, since you took over, we've had guys like Billy O'Brien and then Stelios, been real favourites with the fans. How do you feel about them interacting with the fans, and do you think that's a positive thing? And also, since you guys have taken over, the atmosphere in the stadium's got a lot better. How's that transmitting over to the players on the park?
I thought James has got a Twitter account, so I thought he would
slightly younger than the manager, he's more secure on Twitter and Facebook and things like the social media side of that. I think it's great. I think it is. It can be dangerous at times as well. Obviously, depending what you're putting on there, you could have a range of age of followers as well. So they've got a responsibility as well with things that they post. But it's great. I think you see, obviously, Billy O'Brien, Stelios, the fans' favourite. It's great, especially for younger fans, when you're getting tweets back and forward, or getting likes or retweets or whatever it is as well. And it is about engaging with the fans as well. So it's just one of the things that I think there's maybe one or two younger ones who can have issues with that as well. And I think it's something that I spoke to James about. We're just doing some kind of media stuff and making sure that they're kind of clued up in that as well. Because sometimes when you're in a football club and you kind of get caught up in that, you don't think that there's any eyes on you when there actually is. And you see a retweet or whatever it may be, and then there's thousands of people seeing it, and then they're representing Sitting Up Football Club as well, so they've got a responsibility to be sensible with that. In terms of the atmosphere, obviously it kind of goes both ways with what's on the pitch as well, and I think probably the drums being good as well. I know there was a wee bit of debate whether it was allowed and what was going to happen, and I think, as you say, we speak about the dark days as well, and sometimes it does take a bit of atmosphere to get the players going. It's always kind of seen as though the players must get the fans going, but it doesn't always, especially if they don't have a great start, because of my warm-up as well. So thanks for that, Tom, as well. Didn't have a great start, but it's one of the things that it's a kind of two-way thing, and I think especially away games and stuff as well, it's great when it can be there, and I think it definitely has helped the stadium, and I think, as long as you're probably sitting right next to it, I don't think there'll be too many people that have got an issue, and I think it's maybe the slightly younger generation as well that are over there, but it definitely helps the stadium atmosphere and helps the players as well.
There was a discussion on one of the fans forums about the opening of the pitch and players after a warm-up get used to the pitch, then go out and play, sort of sliding all over the place. Is there a reason behind sort of opening the pitch immediately before the game? And can you just explain that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean the pitch is water at our request. Ideally, it should be done pre-warm-up, just immediately before the players come out, and then pre-game as well. A couple of reasons for it. One, we feel as if it benefits us as a team in terms of how we play. And two, this time of year, quite a lot of pitches are a little bit longer in terms of the length of the grass, but naturally to give it that protection as the season goes on. So not an awful lot, not something you probably notice, but just slightly. So if you speak to some of our players, they would tell you, I think for example the Hearts-Colts game here, quite a few of them commenting the park being quite sticky, and we have a number of players that travel the ball well at pace, and those small margins, if you like, you know, you balance it off. There is a trade-off between the park can be slippy. That goes back to, I was here obviously when we moved here, and when we moved here at first, the park was horrendous that way, really slippy, because it's such a good pitch, but it's got such a firm, technically I don't know, if Tam was here he would tell you about it, but it's very firm underneath, and and so really slippy on top away back when the stadium opened. I think it's obviously get better that way, but it's still like a lot of the new pitches. A lot of the new pitches are like that. They're very firm underneath, and when they're slick on top, then you have that predicament that you can't lose your footing. But again, it's a trade-off for us that we feel as if it helps us as a team. And given the weather in Scotland, it's usually only for a short period of time anyway before we get the natural sprinklers on.
Just as a follow-up, sorry, pitches again, see when we're playing a away game on a 3G pitch, does that affect preparation of the week if this training take place in a 3G or a pitch?
Yeah, I think it, again, one of the predicaments is that there's quite a variance in the quality of these surfaces. So for example, if you go and play at Falkirk, the pitch is very good. If you go and play at Palmerston, it's probably not quite as good as Falkirk. So that can probably how the game goes more than anything else. Do we train no on an artificial surface primarily because the one at Ralston is probably nearing the end of its life cycle. I think it's been down there since we moved there. In an ideal world, it'd be great if it was one of the new ones that was down, because I would use it. We don't use it at all, very, very rarely, only if we absolutely have to, because I just don't feel as if it's the required standard. I've had experiences when I was at Hearts, we used to train on Spartans AstroTurf before we went and played on an AstroTurf pitch. Does it make that much difference? I'm not really sure. You know, I think players adapt it because they're used to the surfaces now anyway.
Probably a couple more questions, then we'll stop for a wee break. Just wait for the microphone.
Going on from that, do you get more injuries on, is it improved on AstroTurf pitches than you do on grass pitches? Even though you take what Arnold and so on playing it all the time, you don't seem to have a problem.
Yeah, I think there's been loads of different research done. I personally don't think that there's much of a difference in terms of what it does to players. I don't think there's any conclusive evidence either way. I think if you look at the number of injuries that probably players get now, is probably more to do with, or as much to do with footwear, as much to do with the speed and the physicality of the game now as well, because the game is quicker. I know there's obviously debates about that, about, you know, it hasn't changed. It has done. If somebody can run 100 metres a good bit quicker than they could 10, 20 years ago, then it makes sense that every other sport's quickened up. You know, players are quicker, stronger, they have greater information about nutrition and so on. So I think they're probably bigger factors in the more regular occurrence of injuries like cruciate injuries and so on. I think they probably occur a lot more than they did. But I don't personally think that the surface has a huge impact on the injuries that occur.
That's just a quick question about Gavin Riley. When you signed him up, I honestly wasn't sure what to expect, because when I read articles online in Hearts and his experience at Dunfermline, it didn't seem to go very well. Since he came here, to be honest, my personal opinion has been a revelation, an absolute pest he was playing. And I read an article which said that he was bullying the defender on Saturday, which I witnessed myself, was great. So what do you actually put that down to, his resurgence coming to this club, given what's happened to him probably fairly recently in his other clubs?
I'm laughing, I'm loading a wobble with James on this one.
because he's taking hard time to his warm-up, he can answer this and take the credit for it, because he's his boy.
Because I got his move from Queen of the South to Hearts. Well, obviously I worked with Gavin previously as well, and he's one of the players that I kept in contact with as well, especially at Dunfermline, and sometimes it doesn't work out for one reason or another. You look at the strikers Dunfermline have got, obviously Alan Johnson felt that they were ahead of Gavin, manager had up to him as well at Hearts. So in terms of the ability, yeah, when it was there, was he lacking confidence probably, for lack of game time like most strikers do. But I think the type of guy that he is, you've seen how hard he works for his team. We knew he would bring that, and you would bring goals as well. And you say, it's the kind of type we wanted, somebody that was going to run in behind, was going to pester defenders as well, chase things down, which we probably lacked last year. We believed that he would have goals in him as well. I think his stats, I'm not quite sure what they are, but the manager will be on top of that in terms of assist as well. He's somebody that does create enough chances for other players, especially when it's that one lone striker sometimes who's up there. It can be a thankless task. past, but I think in terms of how he trains during the week, just takes into Saturday as well. So it's something that we kind of knew what he was like as a person as well. Like, say something you get setbacks when you was hungry, he was disappointed how last year panned out, how Hearts didn't go well, but just on that I think I had kind of 4 or 5 boys after my first season being in the South that moved up. Ian McShamus and all went to Ross County, maybe struggled a little bit for game time. Danny Carmichael, Kevin Holt as well, so it's making that step up from the Championship. And it's not that they're not good enough to play in the Premiership here, it's maybe just lack of opportunity, picking the right club. And I think he's maybe taking a step back. Probably the reason he came as well was because he worked with the manager and also myself as well, and it was a club that he seen as a good fit for him. So there was other teams interested, but spoke to him regularly and he was keen.
He's got a great coach and son, he's absolutely phenomenal. She's absolutely living the boy, and it's been a pleasure watching him.
Yeah, and he's an honest kind of guy as well. That's one thing that I like about him, and he's still room for improvement as well. I think he's someone that works really hard during the week on his game, on his finishing. Up until now he's done great, and hopefully that can continue as well.
So I think the only thing I would add to that is that, as James probably alluded to in his answer, is that there's a lot of players in our squad now that James and I have had dealings with, and the trust element is massive for me as a manager. Not just as their ability, but their character and their motivation for being at the club. And we've got a group, a really good group now, who, for various reasons, are highly motivated to be successful here. Whether it's their own individual progression, or mentioned Stephen earlier on about having this real affection for the club, and desire to get the club back up the way again. But the trust element's huge, because I think they know we trust them, and it makes it easier for them to trust us as well. And I think that's been a big part of how we've managed to progress things as well. And because, as James alluded to there, the character side of it, and the work that guys like Gavin do, and how conscientious they are about their profession, is important.
We've got 2 questions here. The last one to Jack and one to James. Jack, who did you support growing up?
I'm born in Falkirk, brought up in Falkirk. Stayed there till I was early 20s before I moved through Glasgow. But I followed Dundee a lot when I was younger, which is kind of strange being from Falkirk. But my best friend at primary school, Fowler, was a season ticket holder at Dens from Dundee. We stayed 2 doors along from me in Falkirk, so I used to travel to Dens with them. I used to go away from home, soap programmes in the Province Road end at Dundee, which is the home end behind the goals. So watched them a lot when I was younger. Just by coincidence ended up signing them in the S form at 13, so I kind of had an affinity with that club. Beyond that, I watched a lot of junior football when I was a kid. My grandparents stayed just along the road from Cameron Juniors ground, in one of the mansions there, if you've ever been to Cameron. It's interesting area. But no, I went to the juniors probably more than any senior football match. I know it sounds like a bit of cop-out, but I grew up junior football, played junior football. Have a great deal of time for it. It was brilliant for me. Loved going to watch it because I got to run on the pitch at half time and do all these things that you can't do at senior football. So, and then sit on, obviously.
I didn't really support any professional team when I was growing up. My dad just played amateur, back when I was for a lot of years, and just kind of followed them on a Saturday as well, which I'm probably glad that I didn't really support them. Probably Celtic Rangers back then as well, between my friends. Obviously that comes with drama as well, so I'm quite glad that that was the case. My dad didn't push one way or the other. Kind of Man U probably when I was growing up, they were probably having success as well, and that was a glory hunter when I was probably 10 or something like that, so no Scottish teams.
The other question we've had from Ben on Twitter is, who's been the best player this season?
I'm not going to name names because I think that's harsh. I think obviously there's always the forwards probably that catch the eyes. Lewis Morgan has been a different class, Gavin Riley. Cammy Smith maybe doesn't get the same recognition in terms of that, so I'm glad obviously that's receptive as well, because you know how much effort he puts in terms of his goals and his assists as well, and he's another one that Monday to Friday, the amount of work he puts in to get better as well, he's a credit to himself. So obviously they're the forward-going ones. I think Stephen McKinn's led by example as well for the ones that are in midfield. So hopefully that's 3 or 4 and not one particular player. I do some defensive. Stelios is always a fan's favourite as well. It's just going to say I do some defensive stuff as well. So that's why we've got losing goals in the warm-up rubbish. So I'll be on the 45 shortly. I know that the gaffer takes great credit and he's doing the attacking stuff on a Thursday, so he's patting himself in the back for the amount of goals they're scoring. But that's obviously one part of the job as well. I think the way we play, I said to some of the guys there during the break that I can't see many nil-nils involving ourselves this season. I think we'll obviously have conceded probably more than we would like, but obviously I can target of, let's say, clean sheets. Probably miles off that at the minute, but I think we've got goals in our team, and I think that's probably the way our season's panned out so far. And I say we'd like to probably concede less, but if we're going to keep scoring maybe 3 and 4 goals a game, then we just have to kind of find that balance and make sure we're winning games.
So just try to get it Barcelona then, you score 2 and go with 3.
That's how it's looking at the minute, I think. No, it kind of can leave us scratching our heads at times as well, just with some of the goals we're conceding. We've got some kind of probably a new back 4 as well, with some of the older experienced ones missing. So we're working hard with them to improve them as well, individually and collectively. And that takes time as well, and I think moving forward they're working hard as well, and I think between attitude and the work that we put in the training ground, hopefully we'll get a few more clean sheets. I think just obviously the reaction to the players as well. It was, I think it was Stephen McKinn that was a great through ball for the boy to run through and go around Sammy. So it's things that we're probably looking to put right. One of the things that just happened on Saturday.
One more on social media from Mark Caldwell, who, this is actually a question that comes up quite a lot. Where does Jack buy his cardigans?
He was slagging my shirt earlier as well, I think it depends if we've been winning games or not. The gaffers for the win bonus, he sometimes goes to Reese or fancy shops, sometimes it's Zara, like the rest does that can't afford Reese. Although he does look sharp, so it's hard to compete with his dress sense and his tight trousers.
Jack, any comment on that, or you want to just move on? Okay, so got a couple of questions over here. Jim, do you want to take the mic down?
Going back to last season, Jack, apart from the final whistle at Easter Road, was it on?
Going back to last season, apart from the final whistle at Easter Road, was there one moment or match where you thought that we could do this?
Again, it's another good question. I genuinely, last season, and I said this I think after the post-Hibs game, I never ever imagined us being in League One. I know it's an easy thing for me to say now, but we spoke about kind of the mental side of the sport and about imagery and stuff. And I know, for example, golf we do a lot of it, and just never ever pictured us in League One. I never actually pictured us in the playoffs, believe it or not. And so that's an easy thing to think, but you've obviously got to do it in action. What I would say is probably for me one of the big turning points, or when I really felt as if the players' ground belief was the match down at Somerset, because I think we knew. I think if we went there and lost, we would have been 10 behind there. It was the greatest one in the world. It would have been very difficult to come back from. Not just think the fact we won the game, I think the manner in which we won the game as well. We were so far ahead of them that day that I think the belief grew that that's our first target, I feel like. So that was probably a big one for us to go and produce that type of performance and that type of result. Thereafter it just kind of snowballed. I think that we could sense in the group that there was a growing belief and there was a freshness about the group as well. And it was, again I said this after, it was a celebration to finish the 7th, but there was a good deal of satisfaction in what the players had managed to achieve, and some, on reflection now, it's only been me sat back at the end of the season, some brilliant games in amongst them as well, and some terrific days out there in particular.
Jack, there was quite a lot of discussion generally in football in a close season about what managers should be responsible for, specifically in relation to Arsene Wenger. Are you happy with your job description? Or more specifically, are there things you don't do today you'd like to take on? Or is there any overlap with Tony Fitzpatrick's responsibilities?
I mean, I think it's a. I think there's probably more discussion over a manager's role, particularly as it's evolved in England and you've sport directors, and obviously up here recently where there was a spotlight on Hearts and Craig's role there. No, I would say there's probably no overlap, because I think Tony knows probably my character and personality, and knows I like responsibility. I like to be in control of things, and so he's happy probably to let me take on more than perhaps I should at times. However, what I would say in terms of from a personal relationship, he's brilliant for not just me but for James and for Al McManus, because of his wealth of experience in the game, his manner and his personality, and he's terrific for us to engage with on a daily basis, because he's up at the training ground on a daily basis. What I would say probably in terms of my own job, would I like it to probably grow a bit as well? Yeah, I would, because there's aspects of the club probably that we don't have right yet on our side from a football perspective, which primarily is around scouting and recruitment. You know, it was an area that James and I identified when we first took the job, but it's not an easy area to address without infinite resources. We have it obviously through the academy, where there's a scouting network and system. We have David Clarkson who watches our opposition matches for us, but in terms of being able to go and identify players in the lower leagues, we work quite hard at it. I mean, at the moment we've got a list of probably 3 or 4 that we feel could potentially be assets to us in the future, but getting out to see them is difficult for us obviously, but getting people that we trust to go out and see them is difficult as well. And then obviously there's a financial aspect to that, because football's got a bad habit of relying on people's goodwill all the time. I think it takes advantage of that sometimes and gets people to do things on a voluntary basis, and probably shouldn't always be like that. So I would like the role probably sometimes to be busier, in terms of just busier, it's probably the wrong word, because trust me, I don't want to be busier. Yeah, maybe to encompass more that could benefit us as a club at the moment, and probably for us as well, in terms of whenever we leave here, that we leave behind a decent legacy as well and leave the club in a better place.
Hi. Just working. This question I had in mind already, but you just raised the stakes on it when you said what team you really had an affinity with when you were growing up. But what I'd like is you to basically answer a personal question. What were the reasons why you chose not to go to Dundee? And also for both Jack and James, what were the reasons why you then committed to St Mirren and also extended your contracts?
No comment. My answer is no comment in that first part.
Okay. No, what I would say is that this is a good job. It's a very good job, and we both enjoy it immensely. It's a good club, and I'm not just saying that to patronise you because you're sitting here. I've been at other clubs. I know what structure there is. I know what potential there is. For me, it's a great fit for us. I said this again at the end of the season. I don't think I'll be happy with the job that we've done here until we get us hopefully promoted. But I think beyond that, to try and establish us as a strong Premiership club. So there's an ambition for what I want to try and do here, and what we want to try and achieve. James and I speak about, you know, we have a really close working relationship, personal relationship as well. It's a good fit, and yeah, I love my job. We both love coming into work. We're blessed with a fantastic training ground, good stadium, proper fan base. That I said last season as well. So committing to the club for a longer period is selfishly there's an advantage to James and I. Of course there is, and that's human nature to have that as well. But I think it brings that, hopefully, a stability and a reassurance to the people that support the club in a financial sense, by coming and watching every week, being members of SMiSA, that there's people that are running the football side that genuinely want to progress the club. You know, it's not just for our own needs to be ambitious as a management team. Of course we are, but it's very easy now just to jump at any opportunity that comes up. But yeah, the best way to describe it, and I said this in the press, was I was 100% content, happy in this job when I flew out on holiday. I was 100% content, happy in the job when I flew back, so that probably topped the tails it. When you're on holiday with your wife and 2 kids, then you know you have that wee kind of ups and downs, so.
One year, and then
Testing. Alright, hi Jack. Jack, do you like? No. Recently you were banned from the dugout due to a wee misunderstanding with was it a ref, the linesman, or the fourth official or something like that, you know? And you must, but you're not banned, you're right in saying you're not banned from the ground. Can you sit anywhere on the ground? For instance, if you want a better kind of panoramic view of the play, you can see much more from sitting far up. I know a high ground right enough, but say behind the goals you want to check out the defence, so you can see what's going on there a lot better than you could for the dugout, where you're limited to see this side of the park and the far side of the park. So it's not a good thing to get banned for the dugout, you know. Another game, don't too much, you know.
The players aren't good to ask that.
Not James.
It was a strange experience for me, to be honest, that game, because what happens is you're not allowed in the dressing room 75 minutes prior to kick-off. You're not allowed in the tunnel area, pitch side, a certain number of metres from the pitch, I guess, I'm sure what it is. You're not allowed in the dressing room at half-time, 50 minutes post-match as well. And then obviously not allowed to have any communication with the technical area during the game, I don't think, as well.
Did you not pass notes?
Well, no, we never done any of that.
Any walkie-talkies, you got
none of that. We could have done it. It was, yeah, so it's that. Yeah, I know there's that. Probably what you're trying to say is I know there's an argument because in other sports they watch games from higher up, particularly in rugby. I obviously had an experience at Hearts where I spent the best part of the year sitting beside Craig and watching the game from there and helping what was going on in the technical area and the dressing room. Can you see the game better? Absolutely. Why do more managers not do it? I genuinely don't know. I think that probably players still need guidance through games, and that information needs to come sometimes very quickly. You can do that from the immediate sideline, and you get that message very quickly. If you had a big enough staff, would it be advantageous to have somebody in the stand probably giving you that different perspective? Yeah, I would. But because football's probably so reactive, I dare say that rugby union, for example, has got much more stoppages in it, so there's probably more breaks that information can be passed down and be passed to the players. I think that's the reason why very few managers do that. I don't think there's any managers. Sam Allardyce was maybe one that did it in England. Walter Smith went through a phase, I think, when he did it at Rangers, but there's very few doing it.
Back on the development side of things, me and a few of the guys here go quite often, and I'm a good fan of all really entertaining stuff. There's one boy in particular, Andrew McDonald, who really stands out for me. There's a many players that you can see being the next Lewis Morgan or Stevie Malin, maybe not attacking wise, but even in defence. Is there any players that stick out that you make the step up, apart from Conor O'Keefe and McPherson?
I wouldn't like to name anybody, to be honest, because there are kind of stages of development where it can change very quickly as well, and we're hoping that they're in the right environment, working under Alan, as I say, Webby and Ross to progress. And there's stages where even if they're still growing, then they'll feel like they can't trap a bag of cement as well. At times you think, why is that? But it's just because their genetics are changing, they're stretching, and their body's changing as well. So there is exciting ones in there. I know what the under-17s were really successful last year, and There's quite a few of them came in full time this year, but they're still only 16, 17 as well. And the challenge for the ones getting to the kind of final year of their 20s is really making a push to be involved with the first team, and we probably have them across training with us quite a lot as well. And then they're getting judged every day, whether they think they are or not. Everything they do from the minute they walk in the door in the morning to when they leave at night. And sometimes they don't realise that, and sometimes the sooner they realise that the better as well, because it's a test of character at times as well. It's not just about ability, it's who's willing to work the hardest, because at the end of the day it's usually kind of attitude over ability as well, and application that goes with that, and the commitment that's needed to be a professional. Sometimes you kind of get a taste of it and think, oh, this is quite easy, where there is lots of ups and downs. I spoke about Gavin earlier as well, in terms of the mental side of the game, and how much of a challenge that is as well. So I think there's exciting ones in there, without probably naming anybody, because I think maybe a wee bit unfair just now, but either myself or the manager, we're usually there at the 20s games as well, so we're seeing how these boys are doing, and we like to try and reward them as well. Sometimes there's a positional thing that if we need somebody to train with the first team, sometimes it's just rewarding whether they've done well, whether their attitude's been excellent, whether they've seen they're looking to do things in their own time after training to improve and get better.
One thing I would add to that as well, and it's probably why James reluctant to name players, is that it's notoriously difficult to predict, apart from the blindingly obvious ones about who's going to be successful as they progress into the first team football. And I would use the example of Kyle McGuinness as being a case in point, because I don't think anybody had earmarked Kyle as being one that was going to be a stick-on star from coming through the academy. Even when I took the job, people pointed me to Kyle McAllister, which I talk about the ones that are easy to spot. I spoke to Alan McManus when he took the job, and he identified Kyle McGuinness as one that he felt had the attributes, and obviously you know what I think of him in terms of the opportunities he's been given. And then on both those young boys I've mentioned, as James has touched on as well, their ability, football ability has got them to that level. I dare say that the next stage is as much about their mental toughness and their ability to deal with the pressures of full-time football, first-team football. And the two lads that I mentioned that broke through last year, Kyle McAllister had a gallousness about him. I think he had a cockiness and arrogance in his own ability, which was good, because he was a good player. And Kyle McGuinness, I mean, James will tell you how fond I am. The players laugh about him being my boy, but if a young man has got one of the strongest mindsets I've came across in football, which gives him every opportunity to really kicking on in his career, and so that's why it is notoriously difficult to say at 16, 17, yes, he's going to go and be the next big thing here, because some might disappoint you and some might surprise you. What I would say is that we are a good club in that sense. It has got a great record of producing players. I believe it will continue to do so, because I think it attracts young players, because they recognise that there is a pathway that has evidence to back it up, as opposed to just people saying, play here, you'll get the opportunity. And hopefully, as the course of this season, there'll be one or two again that progress and up to first team level as well.
Sorry, James, back here.
Under your coaching management, have you done something different to specifically target a positive rebound after a goal defeat versus previous kind of management of the club, where the heads would go down after losing a goal? Or is it just basically a more positive attitude towards the game?
It's another good question. I think when you plan and prepare your training, we have certain core aspects of what we do that we work on a daily or weekly basis. So they're the core of what you want to try and do on the pitch. Then there becomes the specifics about the opposition you're playing against. It becomes almost impossible to prepare for every eventuality you might face in a game. So if you take into one of those being going behind in a match, I think that, as you probably touched on in your question, that the best way to cope with that is the mentality within your squad and the type of character you have within your squad. So if you have a group that you believe can cope with those setbacks and respond in the best possible way, then you'll be okay. And that comes with one, your identification of those players and your recruitment of them, and then secondly, the environment you create at the training. Our players train at a fairly high intensity, but what I think they all realise is that I think they constantly stress to them that they're good players, and believe it or not, that probably matters to them. So we tell them, not stupidly, because if they've not played well, then they're not going to believe you anyway, but they are good players, that's why we want them at the club. And so if that message is reinforced to them consistently and they feel as if it's genuine, then I think that it goes back to the question about us starting slowly in games. I think we're getting better at it, because what we used to feel as if there was almost a reaction to going behind, that almost the shackles came off. I think they're getting better at being like that from the get-go, that they think, yeah, we're a good team. You know, if we go and play at our levels that we're capable of, we'll win the game. If you speak to them individually, Stephen's a good one for that. Stephen McGinn loves football. Spends a lot of time in our office at times just chatting about it in general, and he'll come in that, he'll say sometimes he's been in teams where he's looked at the opposition warming up and thought, don't know, the greatest war in the world, they're probably going after an off day today, where he feels as if he's part of a group here, second half of last season, at the moment where he looks at the opposition and thinks, yeah, we'll be okay. And that's a great thing to have. If that spreads out your squad, then you can cope with setbacks within the game as well.
Sorry, Paul. Take this and then another couple of questions, then we'll have to wrap up, folks, because we're just about running out of time. Okay?
Just back to the subject that Dundee talked about earlier. Recently played down in a pre-season friendly. Quite a heated game, you might say. Some strong challenges come in from the Densmen. Is that something you welcome in a pre-season friendly, or will they not be picked back next year?
Yeah, the pre-season is something that probably even we've learned from this year as well, because you said about the planning aspect of it, and things can plan out differently. I was a wee bit frustrated with pre-season in general with some aspects of it in terms of performances. That game came about because Neil McCann and I shared digs a long time ago at Dundee, so we've known each other a long time, and he was playing catch up in terms of his pre-season organisation, and we wanted a game in that week. The game itself, yeah, was probably a little bit more tousy than we would have liked at that stage of the season. The only way to avoid any situations like that is not to play any games, which then of course doesn't prepare you properly for the season. So yeah, we'll invite back. He's a habit.
Last couple of questions.
Why did you have a bad game at Capel and do you treat Norton any different from any other team?
Well, I think obviously when we look back at the game as well and analyse like we always do, obviously we lose 2 penalties as well, and then we're losing a man after that. I didn't think there was much in the game until that point as well. Obviously we had a great back in that day, and kind of highlights your frustration as well when you've got that kind of support going. But sometimes you can't legislate for things that players do as well, and see Jack Baird's a young player with hopefully a big future as well, and he'll learn from that experience. I suppose once you're given 1 penalty away and you're on a yellow card, you've really got to be watching what you're doing after that. I think the manager spoke to Jack as well, and I think, right, well, worst case scenario they score, it goes 2-1, we've still got 11 men, and then we believe that we've still got enough on the pitch to get back in the game as well. So hugely frustrating day. As I say, obviously with the backing that we had, it's still a learning curve for players as well, no matter if you're young or old, and it's something that we spoke about and tried to address that kind of moving forward.
We're talking about just committing a few ticks to come in, so how immensely proud were you when TNS came in the cup and just finally got European football back to Suburban?
It was actually good for me because I had played Wallow and I'm unbeaten in Europe as manager. If I could work out edit my wiki page, then I'd put that on. that was probably, I know I mentioned the United game earlier on, but that was probably a big turning point for us as well. I think if you had heard what I said at half time, there was a lot of choice words in terms of first half performance that day, but second half we were terrific, and it probably kick-started us a little bit. Cups were great for us last season in that regard. I think they helped build confidence, and it's the reason why, regardless of the competition, we always like to try and do well. Betfred was a bit disappointing for us, but so far the Iron Blue's been decent for us again, and I would like to go as far as we could in every one of the cups, because there's an advantage in several different ways to the pub.
And last question's over.
Just have you worked out the right tactics to compete the bogey team when you're all kept up barn? Ask the last few managers.
I'll take it, so if I didn't beat them, you know the answer was rubbish as well. So, no, I think obviously it's one of the ones that every year Dumbarton lose a lot of players, and they're signing players in year deals, and then players go there that have got a point to prove. This year especially, there's probably quite a lot of ex-Mirren players in their team or their squad anyway, so that's something that we need to be wary of as well. And it can always be sometimes, especially going there, a kind of mental aspect. The pitch, the weather, it's usually always blowing a gale. I got Queen of the South goal this season, 2014-15, if you want to watch that. We won this week. Only goal, left footer for about 40 yards with the wind at my back. So, and that isn't, and sometimes you can come here, it's a great stadium, great pitch, and it is a mental aspect to going away. Obviously when teams come here, they enjoy coming here as well, thinking, aye, great, and then they're tough to beat. I think teams that probably in the bottom half, there's probably not a lot between the teams this year in the Championship, and everybody's fighting for life as well. And I'm sure we'll face Beacon, who have already picked up results against so-called bigger teams in this league. Dumbarton have done the same as well. You've done United scoring last week at home, late in the game to get a draw. I think it's obviously being mentally prepared for that, but doing what we do best, and hopefully giving them something to worry about rather than the kind of opposite way about.
Okay, thanks very much everybody. We're just about out of time there, so first of all I want to say thank you to everybody for coming along and for your excellent questions tonight. Thanks to the SMiSA guys for putting the night on, and of course thanks to Jack and James for their time.